Hello, everyone. Welcome to House of Chatter, how Haunted House Calls. Tonight's episode is going to be life during death, or how I'm going to explain it, making it to heaven. Is the best way that I'm going to explain this episode. And if you stay tuned, you'll understand what I mean. So how's everybody doing today? Once again, we're going to start with a tarot reading. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't like the way that looks, so I'm going to adjust the camera. Does that work? I don't know why I don't like that. But for some reason, I don't like that. But anyways, I'm going to put my cards here and we'll just start to shuffle. And you know me, I like to do my little designs just because I think it's fun, gives it a little flair. Plus, I know like what to flip and then like what not to flip. You know what I mean? And as much as I flip and feel like maybe I'll fight fate, which I've learned I can't fight fate because I tried that with my psychic readings that I've gotten on myself, and they've all turned out to be true, which is weird, but it was by the month and by the detail. Okay. So you know that I like to do it in my little star shape. That's what I'm going to say it. So then we have a reverse 10 of cups, and I forgot to do last night's reading, so I still need to do some research. And we didn't even get a message or a question, so I'm going to have to redo this. We'll see if we see this card again. I'm going to reshuffle. Give me a good question. How about message of the day? How about that? How about message of the day? Okay. What is our message of the day? And I always feel like the cards talk to me. Right now, nobody's online, but that's okay. If you have a story, go ahead and email it to angelholdings84@gmail.com, and we'd love to share your ghost story or your paranormal experience or even what the tarot reading was. So this is a reverse. What do we got? 6 of Cups. And we'll just pull these cards and we'll just think about it. I have a reverse 3 of Swords. See, I just don't like that ankle, guys, but that's the ankle tonight. I'm sorry. I don't know if I could fix that. Maybe I can. 3, just give me a second. Reverse 3 of Swords. I think we're on a reverse trend. So I'm just going to turn off my camera. I'm going to adjust my view. I'm going to put you back. Let me see if this works for you guys. How is that? That looks a little bit better. What do you guys think? I'll just stretch out these cards a little bit for you. It's okay. Next card. 8 of Swords. This is our message of the day. If anybody has any thoughts, go ahead and say it now. 8 of Swords. Okay. This is a 7 of Swords. We're a swordy day today. That's weird. Because my shuffle has that. And I did put these under moonlight. I live in a very cloudy area, and it's very rare that we get some moonlight and some non-cloudiness. So I took the opportunity to supercharge these cards. Okay, what do we got? A 9 of Wands, a reverse 9 of Wands. Does anybody have any ideas in the chat? Feel free to join. Like I said, email angelholdings84@gmail if you have any stories, or even if you're interested in a tarot reading. Reverse Page of Cups. And if you're watching this on video, when we go live, we always do a little bit tarot reading. And this is just message of the day. So if you stay all the way through, we'll translate this or we'll do it in another video. So we'll see if this speaks to you. But today's episode is going to be about those who made it to heaven or who have experienced life after death, is how I'm going to phrase it, if that makes sense. It's really hard to explain. Like I said, I have a background in healthcare, and so these stories are from patients. So I leave out names and things like that, identifying information. But what is interesting is I've had a number of stories told to me about being down and what those people experience. Now, the medical community says that when you are down, your brain experiences a lot of different changes, or not changes, but chaos, and that's what produces what you experience. Some people have like see their whole life flash in front of them. Some people may see their have like an out of body experience. This story is about a patient who was down for 42 minutes. She did make an attempt, and she was a patient in the psych ward. Now, she was a patient in the psych ward is because she had survived, and not to glorify anything, but she had a very hard time in this world, and she was comparing it to what she had experienced when she was down for 42 minutes. And so what she had said is she did have an out of body experience. What happened is she was found down already, and then I believe she was brought back, went to the ICU, went down again, and then at that point she was down for 42 minutes while they worked on her, and she could see them work on her. And then she basically said she followed this warm white light. She said it was warm, which is interesting because I don't think I've heard anybody else, or like even those on TV who explain their experiences, say temperature. So it's interesting that this person said that it was warm, and she ended up in this most beautiful garden. She described it as the most beautiful garden in the whole world, the most beautiful thing that she's ever seen. There was colors that she can't even describe. It was nirvana. It was everything that you would read in the Bible and more. She was religious. She did state that her religion, she had to read other religious books of other religions in order to be confirmed in her own religion, which is quite interesting because she called the Quran the most beautiful book she's ever read. And she kind of related that beauty to what she was experiencing. She had also said that her mother and her aunt were in this garden. She called it heaven. And she was so happy to see them. And she said that God, or what we think of God, is not really God. He's everything. She had a hard time describing it. She didn't see him, she just knew. She just knew things. So she said this also was a place of like no pain, of no time. And she got to see her mom and her aunt, but they had told her, it's not your time. You need to go back. But she didn't want to go back. She wanted to stay. And it was kind of like an argument, but she knew she had to go back. It was God's plan that she go back. Um, and she kind of made it seem like this was like a gift from God. Like, you get to see your mom and your aunt, but I have to send you back now. Like, I'm giving you time to say goodbye, type of idea. She did say that she went back into her body, and it was the most painful experience because they did CPR. They did break her ribs, as you would do. They do you when you get CPR, you can expect your rib cage to be broken, if they're doing it right, because you have to press hard and quick. So CPR can be quite traumatic to the body, and especially the rib cage. But she said the recovery just was like the worst pain that she's ever felt. So that was her story. I also have a father who beat a terminal diagnosis or a terminal prognosis. And history is he had a medical crisis while in the ICU. It was life threatening. I believe it was a extremely low blood pressure event or a hypotensive event. And they at the time did not know what was wrong with him. They just knew that he was really, really sick. So sick that he was in the ICU and not improving, not getting better. In fact, we actually went to say our goodbyes to him in the hospital, because that's how bad off he was. But he said during this event, they had to do a spinal tap because they wanted to see if he had an infection, maybe in neurologically or in his spine or something like meningitis or something like that. And he said that they had to do it a couple of times because he had no blood pressure to get the fluid. And then he said that he went out of his body and you could see everybody working on him. He didn't say that there was a white light or anything. He just said that he kind of just lifted up out of his body and then he went right back in. He explained it as an out of body experience. He won't talk about it a lot. He'll only talk about it a few times. But that's his story. Now I have two more stories that hit close to home, and then we can look at some internet stories as well to see if there's any, I guess, comparisons. If you'd like to listen to that, hear that. Um, so I was married to a paranoid schizophrenic, and sometimes it was extremely hard. Um, with that. And sometimes he would want to leave this world, and then he would end up in the hospital. And this one time he ended up in the hospital, and he had to be induced into a coma. And he said that while he was in this coma, it wasn't black. It was like he spent time in this nice, warm, white light. He didn't go towards it, he said, because he was like, come on, it's a white light. Like, I'm really going to go towards it. I mean, it's nice and warm, but he said that he wasn't really ready to go to the white light because, he wouldn't be with us. So he came back, but he didn't say anything about heaven or reaching heaven. He just said that he just experienced a white light. And then another story that I have is I had a friend who told me about her traumatic car accident that took her leg. And it was such a crisis that, of course, she had to be medevaced by helicopter. And she said that they were working on her, and she felt all nice and warm and felt like she was floating. And then she hit the top of the helicopter and she couldn't go through it. She was kind of just trapped in this helicopter, and she's looking down at everybody working on her. I don't know how she made it back. I don't know how she segued it, but I wasn't getting it. And she basically said, dude, I came out of my body, and the helicopter was the only thing that kept me from going to the white light. And I was like, oh my God. And of course, we're at work, so we had to, I don't know, go answer a call later or something like that. But that was one of her stories. Now, on the darker, scarier side of things, I also have a story from a friend who he says has dabbled in witchcraft, but no longer dabbles in witchcraft because he summoned up he says that he summoned up the devil, or he thinks it was the devil. He basically said he summoned up 3 men who were hooded and faceless, like their faces were black or blacked out. And the only reason why I mention this is or I preface this is because he later said that he was partying too hard, if you know what I mean, and he was down, and he said that there was this white light, but that it was a curtain. And he said that it was like this, if you pulled back the curtain, it was not going to be a peaceful, blissful experience. I don't know again how he came back, but he said that I don't remember how the conversation ended. But those are kind of some of the stories that I've heard. If you guys have any stories, I would love to hear them. Again, you can email those stories to angelholdings84@gmail.com. And I have a couple stories just here that I pulled up from the internet. I have one. It's from ranker.com, one of my favorite websites for everything paranormal. So if you're familiar, check it out. But this one says, after Mary Neal died, she said she never felt more alive, which I totally get. When my dad got out of the hospital, he lived, I guess the expression is live like you're dying, but he really lived his life to the fullest. After that, he doesn't call it a midlife crisis, but it would look like a midlife crisis. but he was just really enjoying his time on Earth. And still is, by the way. So after Mary Neal died, she said she never felt more alive. After drowning on a kayaking trip in 1999, orthopedic surgeon Mary Neal reports she swam up to heaven, where she spent a good 30 minutes before her earthly body was resuscitated. Neal believes Jesus held her as she drowned, and that made her feel more alive than she ever felt. Then she felt her consciousness break away from herself, and she was immediately greeted by a group of beings, spirits, and people. Spirits is actually quite interesting. So, in hospice, we have a belief that your relatives may come for you or may help you transition. So it's interesting that they say spirits, people. After gaining her incorporeal bearings, she's found herself at a large arched entryway, and inside she saw many other spirits, angels, people, all running around. They were all very busy doing God's work. How interesting. So they're all working up there in heaven. And then we'll just do one more story. And if we don't have anything from the chat, how about we just call it a night? Sound good, everybody? And tomorrow's episode is actually going to be like on haunted restaurants. So, of course, I have my list because I'm a foodie of restaurants. And then I've also done a couple more things on some restaurants. And yeah, we'll take a look at what's out there and, have some good eats and have some good hauntings. So this next one is from Colton Burpo. Said Jesus rides a rainbow horse. Heaven is for real is probably the most famous account of an otherworldly visit and comes to us from Colton Burpo, who was only 3 years old when he perished on the operating table during an emergency appendectomy. He allegedly went to heaven, then returned with knowledge of a great grandfather he never met and an unborn miscarried sister. He also saw Jesus riding a colored horse. In 2015, Burpo reiterated his claims to Charisma News. I know there has been a lot of talk about the truth of other heaven stories in the past few days. I just wanted to take a second and let everyone know that I stand by my story and stand by my story found in my book, Heaven is for Real. I still remember my experience in heaven. Like I said, if you have any paranormal stories, we would love to hear them. You could always send them to angelholdings84@gmail.com. And if you have any, I am so sorry. My brain is falling asleep on me. If there any contact or anything that you would like to hear from us, go ahead and email us. Again, this episode was brought to you by Off Market Real Estate. If you want to buy or sell your real estate, let us know. Go ahead and email us. We're always here for you, and we would love to assist you off market and all of your off market real estate needs. Okay. So that is our show. Thank you for tuning in to Haunted House Calls tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.